I'm no stranger to seeing faces in the bark of a tree or shapes of people and animals in the carpet, the clouds, or even in wallpaper. I've done that for as long as I can remember. It's basically second nature for me. Because of what I do, photographing fairies, I'm fully aware of the term pareidolia, since my brain has been finding patterns and familiar forms where there aren't any for at least 60 years. But here's some food for thought that goes against the pareidolia argument. What if that natural tendency to see patterns is exactly what allows those of us who see the fairies to see them? So are my fairy photos real or not? I believe they are, but we're going to take a deeper look at this. I'll present the evidence and you can decide what you believe, pareidolia or real fairies. Let's get to it. I never dreamed I would be taking fairy photos or sharing them with other people. Since it's been almost 10 years, I feel there are some things I can share with conviction, things I've learned, seen, and come to understand along the way. One of the first things that I discovered when I began taking photos of the fairies is that they will use whatever is available to them to form or to hide. So, if you believe that fairies should have a solid physical form as we do, this is, most of the time, not the case. I have photos of fairies who are made of sticks, leaves, grass, flowers, and rocks. This, of course, could strengthen the case for pareidolia, which is what I believe the fairies count on. If they don't want to be seen, forming in this way is perfect. It is literally the perfect disguise because those who don't truly believe will never question what they see. Another way that fairies form is through sunlight and shadow. Sometimes they really stand out in a photograph, and other times it may take some time before the form they have taken is noticed, even by those who are looking. Once seen, however, they can't be unseen. I am still amazed at how the fairies can manipulate whatever is around them just to allow us to see them. It is something that never gets old for me. There are also photos that I have where the fairies might be considered basically invisible. The only telltale sign might be a faint shimmer or blur. Now the question is, if it's a shimmer or blur, how do you know it's an invisible fairy? Honestly, at first I didn't, but it was apparently something the fairies were attempting to teach me early on, because I began getting a lot of these photos for a while. It is what made me look closer at the pictures after I determined there was nothing wrong with my camera and no smudges on the lens. Sometimes, certain fairies will look as though they could step right out of a photo, if they were so inclined. In other words, they appear to have that physical body that requires no imagination to believe in, unless, of course, they aren't human in appearance. If that's the case, then it depends on just how strong a person is within their beliefs as to whether they will believe what they can actually see with their own two eyes. One thing is for certain, pareidolia, Photoshop, and now AI can be called upon by those who prefer not to believe what they see. It gives a logical explanation to something that cannot otherwise be explained. When I go out on a photo shoot, I am hoping for fairies, which is why I tell them out loud why I am there and invite them to step forward for the camera. I'm drawn to places that are visually pleasing, areas that feel like they would be where fairies might live. Some of these places do have that unmistakable sense of magic in the air, but not all of them. Some are just ordinary trails. Honestly, I don't think I've ever taken photos anywhere that didn't have fairies. But remember, I rarely see the fairies with the naked eye. It's later, when I go through the photos, that things begin to reveal themselves. I look for something that doesn't quite fit, something slightly out of place. That might sound like it contradicts what I said about fairies using what's around them to form, but it doesn't. Even when they blend in, there's usually a small imperfection, a color that's just off, a posture that doesn't make sense, a shape that shouldn't be there. All of my photos are examined the same way in Photoshop. My process begins by enlarging each photo to 200%, then scanning them slowly from left to right. At that zoom, I have to move the photos up 3 times. I call these tiers, and then a bit more to examine the top. If I spot a fairy, I continue on that tier until I reach the right edge. If I still see the fairy on the backwards pass, I'll look one more time on a forward pass. If I still see it as I saw it on the first pass, then I save it. The patterns, the way the fairies appear to me, and the slight imperfections are all, I believe, manipulations of the fairies, because after nearly 10 years, they know my process. They know how I look at the photos, they know what I'm looking for, and they know at what magnification I will notice them. So no, not random and not my imagination. I want you to make up your own mind, of course, but the more I study these photos and the more fairies show up in them, the more I lean toward this. Pareidolia might explain some things, but not all of this. I can't prove to you that it's fairies in my photos. All I can do is give you what I see and share with you what I believe. It's up to you to determine what you think it all means to you. As for Pareidolia, I believe it plays a part in my work because it's exactly the bridge that allows me to see what I see and makes it easier for the fairies to reach me. For those who are blessed with the gift of Pareidolia, you know your training came early on and never stops. And for those who are still on the fence, I'll keep photographing and you keep watching. It's possible there's a fairy just waiting to be the one to give you your first true Pareidolia experience, because after that, the way you see things will forever be changed. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment below. I always enjoy hearing your thoughts and experiences. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your heart curious. You never know who might be waiting to be seen.